people don't put the 2 and 2 together, where it's like, what's the videos on YouTube right now that are doing the best early wipe? How to make money. What's the best way to make money? Craft stuff the Chads want and sell it to them. But then you get mad that they kill you with it. Like you,
I went to do a raid and I just get insta-killed by all these guys running the best stuff.
Everybody's got 995 and M61. Well, you're crafting it and selling it to them. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the show dedicated to talking about all the poggers things in life, like music, content creation, and video games. I'm one of your co-hosts, JesseKazam, an Escape from Tarkov YouTuber and content creator.
And I'm Veritas. Ashamed that Jesse literally knows nothing about wrestling.
Why you gotta shame me like this? I'm sorry.
He doesn't know who Triple H is. He doesn't know who Mankind or Mick Foley is. He knows about The Undertaker, but I think that's only because that's actually a thing outside of wrestling.
Listen, it's interesting because like I remember my friends being into wrestling. Like we're like the same age, right? Like I'm turning 30 next month.
Oh no, oh fuck.
No,
I'm 33.
Okay.
So that's enough. Like 3 or 4 years, 4 years is enough to where like when I was 14, you were 10 and we weren't hanging out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Around that time, the first, 15, 20 years of your life, that's a big age difference.
Yeah, like I was in high school while you were in junior high. I was in junior high when you were in elementary kind of thing. Yeah. Way too cool for you. Okay, so I mean, I guess I'm going to be looking for a new host. Have to have been born in the pre 1990.
Yeah, I was 91.
Actually, you know what? The two kids is basically like effectively that's a decade.
Yeah,
so you're
that
the
adds
old one.
at least a decade. Yeah, I missed a few things from the childhood, but I don't feel. Yeah, I feel like an old man sometimes. I'm sorry. But what's up, man? How you doing? How's Tarkov been? How's the wipe been treating you?
It's been good. It's been fun. It's I'm getting to the point already where I'm kind of like
interesting.
A little bit tired of the and part of it is my fault. A little bit tired of where I always end up getting at this point in the wipe, which is I have a full stash with every fucking quest and craft I'm ever gonna need, but just sitting there 8 million years too early, taking up space. And like as soon as I got 500,000 rubles to like upgrade to like the Med Station 3, I like spent it, and then I had no money, but then no space. So like I don't know what to sell. So I just I honestly I think what I should do in the future is like not worry about the hideout for the first couple of weeks. I mean, it's tough because a lot of the benefit of the hideout is crafting your way through, but back in the day you used to buy your way through the quests. Now you can craft your way through the quests. Like I crafted all 3 of my 60 round mags. I crafted a bunch of shit.
The crafts are huge. I love them as an addition to the game because it's and actually we can talk about this later, like because it connects to some other ideas that I've had about the game that we've talked about before. But I like that it's like a stopgap between. It's like the middle ground, right? Like old Tarkov was like, if you needed this thing, you could spend weeks farming it and just never find it, right? You need this key. It just like sucks. And then there was that one wipe where the flea was nothing. There wasn't such thing as found in raid, and everybody progressed through the entire quest line in a day and a half because you could buy everything you needed. And so I like that.
Were like 100,000.
Dude, it was crazy. I like Pest. I remember that wipe. Pesley was one of the first people to complete the quest where you could now buy Saluas, and he would just go to therapist, buy 100, list them for 60,000 or 100,000 rubles. Go to therapist, buy 100.
And there was like no limit.
No limit on anything. Yeah. No limit on how much you could buy. No limit on how much you could sell. And he just made like 1 billion rubles.
And the flea market costs, they weren't like prohibitively high. Yes. So you could list them for 1 million rubles and it would be like nothing. Whereas now I realized I listed a few things for like 60,000 rubles and the fee was like 52,000. Like, God, holy shit. Like I didn't even realize.
People keep putting the key with tape East 110. Every time I would look on the flea market for it, it was like 1 million rubles. If anyone was selling them, they were selling them for 1 million rubles. But at 1 million rubles, the fee is like 690,000 rubles. And it's like, just list it for 300,000 rubles and only pay a 30,000 ruble fee. Like, you can make the same amount of money.
Yeah, it's just annoying because the UI makes it annoying. The only way to figure that out is to literally type in every number and see what the thing is, because you don't know what the formula is. It's not like it has like a little guide next to you where it's like, if it's between 100 and 300, it's this or this. But that explains why I would been looking for a bunch of things. Actually, the Annihilator compensator for the MPX, and there's one other part that I need for like Gunsmith fucking 12 or 9 or whatever it is. And nobody's selling the Annihilator.
Yep.
But they're for sale for the key with tape, or for like a green key card, or like fucking. And of course, the values of those things are all fucked.
Yes.
Like the thing, so that the ordering is all wrong. Where it's like, I would much rather sell like 2 white key card, like entrance key cards to labs. Like that's way cheaper than like the key with tape when it comes to value. But the flea market like still doesn't know what the real value of shit is.
Yep.
So.
But I like how crafting kind of sits in the middle, where you can either buy or farm other items, then use that to craft, where you're now using generator fuel and you have to wait. Like, you know what I mean? And I like that there's something in the middle there. I had one found in Raid Blackrock. Instead of farming for another one, I could craft the other one with a bunch of stuff that I have. You know what I mean? And so like, I like that a lot. But I get what you're saying, where you're like, you hit level like 22, 23, and then you've got all the things that you need for like the whole rest of the quest line. You got no stash space, you're no money because you've been throwing it all in the hideout, and you're just like, what do I do? I always keep like, I never let myself go all the way down to like, I see Deadly do that too. Like Deadly bought something to craft car batteries to get vents to level 3, and he had like 27,000 rubles. And I'll never let myself get that low. Like
I can't.
I need like 1 million rubles.
I'm fucked. Now, if I don't, then I'm fucked, because what ends up happening is, so like, let's say, the thing I just recently did was Med Station 3, I think, which was like 500,000 rubles.
Yeah.
And it's like 500,000 rubles is 2 raids of insta dying. So it's like, all this money might be gone in the next 15 minutes, and I might not make any progress, or I can guarantee progress by like putting money in the bank. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, like, it kind of forces me to progress without having to worry about, because the last few days have just been, it takes forever for me to get into games.
Yeah.
Forever to get out of games. I've been looking more into that, the whole fucking spinner at the end of raids thing, and I've been trying to look into that, send some more info to Nikita, because I can tell you exactly what the error codes are and what process in the network diagnostics logs like is causing it and everything. It's like the same 40 seconds exactly for me, where I talked to Swabo the other day, and it was like his was like 53 seconds every time, mine's like 38 seconds every time.
That's super weird.
It's one of those things, like, if you have a problem, I said this yesterday, if you have a problem that's like 100% reproducible or 98% reproducible for like half of the players.
Yeah.
From a software engineering perspective, if you're trying to find a bug, I've solved bugs, or I've been assigned to work on bugs that are like, you see like the crash logs in like the analytics uploaded to the web, and it happens to like 7 people out of like 100 million users, and it's like, I'm never gonna reproduce the alignment of the stars that made the fucking like neutrino hit the particle that crashed the app or whatever. It's just usually some 1 in a million crazy timing thing. But like, if you have something that's easily reproducible, then it should take like no fucking time to at least diagnose. Fixing it might take a while to like, you might have to change a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I still don't know why they haven't figured this out, because this is the same exact thing that was causing the healing screen.
The healing thing,
And now it's just, now you heal. It goes, okay, cool, take your money, I'm going to heal you. And then you sit there for 45 seconds on that screen, and then I get back to the thing, and my guy's not healed.
Yep, that was happening to Sealable a lot, where he would heal and then he wouldn't be healed. You'd go to load into a raid and it was like, your character's low health, and he was like, what? I paid to heal. That, yeah, I haven't gotten any of those.
That just over and over and over again.
Yeah, makes it hard to go into raids when it takes a while to get into a raid. It takes a while to get out of a raid. You're 500k. You're like, well, I can guarantee some progression by spending this on the hideout and just moving it forward. Yeah.
So basically, I get back to my stash. It's completely full, and then it's like, okay, I need all of these things.
Yep.
But I don't remember how many or for what. So it could take me an hour to go and cross-reference on a wiki. I'm gonna need to write down like pen and paper to fucking figure out, like, do I need this? Do I need this? How many of these do I need? Because I just grab shit. I know I need it. I don't know how many, like, alkalies, if it's 1 or if it's 3 or if they're all found in raid or not. You know, like, I just can't remember all those things. I can't be bothered. So then it's like, I got to figure out which of these things I want to sell. Then I sell them, which then makes some space and gives me some money, barely enough to be able to build a gun. And then I realized, like, oh, and now I don't have any money to buy ammo, so I need to sell a couple of more things, get some ammo, and that's enough for one raid.
Yeah.
And then I go in and die at spawn, and then it's like, let's do a fucking scav run. I guess.
Yeah. I've been
scabbing like crazy.
I'm such a hoarder. I'm so, like, I don't know why, even all the way up to like the wipe. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the wipe, I had like 32 slicks in my inventory. Like I keep, like, people are like, why don't you buy another thick items case? And it's like, because 1 week from today, my stash will look identical. Like, I am a hoarder. I hoard to the capacity of my space. So buying more cases doesn't do anything. So I just don't buy cases. But like, I'm just so averse to spending money. I don't buy guns. I just use guns I have. You know what I mean? Like, but that's sometimes a downfall too, because I could buy and build a gun I'm more comfortable with using, but I'll just use this guy's gun and it's got terrible stats and I would have built it different. But I'm just like so averse to spending money and going too low. I like to hover between 1 and 2 million. Like, if I get like 2 million rubles, then I'll buy a few keys. That's my thing. Is like, I can spend 500,000 rubles on this LEDX for Med Station 3, or I could spend that 500,000 rubles on East 226 and over the course of the wipe get tons of LEDXs and ophthalmoscopes. You know what I mean? Like, so, but then you run Shoreline and you get the bad spawn for a week and you're like, oh yeah, I should have bought the stupid LEDX. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, this has been like far and away the best start to a wipe I have ever experienced. And like, it's partly like me like dodging a bunch of like bugs and stuff. Like, Sealable had the healing bug really, really bad, and the spinning bug, and I'm always getting in and out. Everything's been super clean. I had like a 72% survival rate for like the first almost week. It's like at 68% or something right now, which is the highest by far.
I was at like 75% for the first couple of days, and then now I'm at 40%, which is still better than what I normally.
Yeah. And like, I got like almost everything I needed for the hideout. We hit level 20. Dude, it's been something about it has felt really good, but it's been the past few days specifically. So like, the matching thing is understandable, but like, that can get bad. As somebody who plays East Coast at night, like, I'll hop on at like 6:30 and we'll get into queues really quickly, and then at like 8:30 it just starts taking longer, and like at 8:30 it takes 7 minutes to get into a raid, and then the next raid takes 11 minutes, and then the next raid takes 15 minutes. And there was like a few days there where I was like, I can't play the game. Like, I just can't do it like this. And then yeah, I don't know what your experience has been with, like, I mean, of course they're like the desync and the netcode. So part of that, there's like a certain amount of that that's like not even worth talking about, because like, we know that there's going to be a certain amount of like desync and just like netcode related issues, because like we've always said, unless they're addressing them,
I mean, that's multiplayer internet games.
It's multiplayer internet, and unless they're specifically putting something in the patch notes that they're addressing those issues, like, we are not going to expect them to be fixed. But I have had some of the worst desync I've ever seen in Tarkov, in some of my raids. Like, I've got clips. I've got a clip where it must, are they all indicated by seeing someone else's fucking weird movement? Well, yeah, the player that I'm fighting. Yeah. So like there was a clip on Interchange, dude. A guy like shot at me. He messed up my leg. I used like a pole for cover, and he kept shooting at me. So I knew he was gonna reload eventually, and I heard him go for the reload. So I swing the door just pre-firing, and I finally see him in the corner, and I lock onto his head. It's like headshot, 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 click. And I was like, no! And I like ran away, and I'm reloading, and I peek out the door, and he hasn't moved. He's walking in place. And then he falls dead, and his dead body slides out of the door into the middle of the hallway. So where I ended up looting him, his dead body was like 10 feet from where I killed him, which was weird because I would have thought that it would almost be like the other way around or something. Like, I don't know, but his dead body moved. And then there was like
No, it's because you're sending your I'm shooting this guy at this location updates to the server. Server is like, okay, cool. Yeah. I'm getting all that, but I'm busy. I'm doing something else for fucking 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Finally, then it gets to it and it says, okay, cool. So you hit this guy. Okay, cool. He's dead. And then all of a sudden it says, okay, now let me grab all this information. Oh, he
was over there.
Over here, but he's dead. So let's kill him and then move him. Like,
yeah, I guess that's right. I guess that's true. And then like, a ton of stuff where like Sealable would die, and I was like, why were you standing right there? And he was like, I was in the room with you, but on my screen I was like, why are you standing out in the hallway, idiot? You're gonna get shot. And like I've died where like the dude had never at any point pointed his gun at me. Like I peeked the corner and he started shooting, and as I was backing away, and I could see the barrel of his gun, but then I just fall over dead, and I'm like, what happens? So that was interesting. So that the desync has been weirder, like more,
and that's not surprising.
Yeah,
like to me that's not surprising because of going back to and I talked about this last time, and a bunch of people had been coming into my chat randomly just doing like Netcode, and I'm like, why like did somebody like do a video about it? Did somebody like shout me out or something, like maybe like Summit saw it or whatever? And it was like, no, you said it in the last podcast. I was like, oh.
It was you shouted it out.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, again, come into my chat and do !Netcode and watch the video, because it explains all of this. So now that the wipe has happened, a bunch of people are back playing the game.
Yeah.
So it's just more
stress.
It's more stress on the software, not the servers, not the hardware, but there's just more going on, especially with more player scavs in the games, I think, on average, and player scavs being in for longer. In general, just because of the scav karma, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Do you think that would stress those hiccups to be longer then? Like, and that's why it's manifesting. Yes. So it's like, it's stressing the software.
They're more common and they're worse.
Okay. I guess that makes sense.
So like yesterday, the biggest example that I had yesterday was there was a scav, an AI scav, where I was in dorms. I came up to the, halfway up the first floor, looking up to the second floor, and there's a door right at the top of the stairs, and you hear him kick the door, like breach the door. He's got his back to me, but his body isn't breaching the door. So the door slams open and you hear the animation. And then I'm like pop, 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 pop in the back of his head. And then all of a sudden you see him do the animation and you hear the sound of the door being kicked open, but the door's already open. Yeah. And then I'm dead. He shot me. So like he shot me and then like kicked the door open, turned around, shot me. But on my screen, it was like fucking 30 seconds behind.
Yeah.
So, and then my player RTT was like 1200.
Yeah.
And I have a bunch of other instances on Factory where it's so much. And like I said, I discover all this stuff playing with you.
Oh yeah.
Because I could see people all rate, right? I wasn't just seeing them during fights. I was seeing someone moving. Well, now that I'm teaming up with player scavs all the time, I see the movement all the time.
Oh yeah.
It's so much more obvious to me. So like you'll have a guy wiggle and then he'll turn around and run in place.
And then
teleport forward, and I'll see the player RTT is up to 900 or 1100 or 1200, which means there's a full second where 1000, where he's just 1000. That's like 20 fucking meters the guy could have ran in a second, or however long it is that the server froze for.
Yeah.
That they're now catching up. So
why would it like reverse and like rubber band backwards. I was playing with my buddy yesterday, dude, and we were in interchange. So there's like when you try, I was on the Killa quest. So when you try and farm Killa, it's like wherever you spawn, you run underground and you come up the like sunken ramp. You go right up into that Killa hall. I had got up and I was like going into a deke, and we both kept rubber banding, and my friend couldn't get up the ramp. He would run all the way up to the ramp just enough so he'd be exposed to any enemies, and then he would be back down at the bottom of the ramp. And it happened to us both 4 times before the server finally let us move. And then the rest of the raid was fine. Like we actually ran to extract, but we played out the rest of the raid from that, and it was fine.
I don't understand.
It was so weird, bro.
So what that is, that in a way is good.
That's like the server trying to correct.
Yeah, because what should happen is if everybody's frozen. So what if you're running next to somebody, right?
Yeah.
And the server's frozen, they're gonna see you run in place, and they're gonna keep running, and everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And then if they stop 100 meters away and then it unfreezes, they're gonna see you go and teleport forward, right? But the thing is that on your screen, the literal opposite happened.
Yeah.
So they could be shooting at your body, you could be shooting at their body, and you're both like, it's totally fucked. So what should happen is if you're fighting, once the server catches up and wants to process all that, it needs to say, you're shooting at literally nobody. You're shooting at literally nobody because he's not there. He's here. He's not here. He's here. And then you end up right next to each other and you catch up, or you would all come back to where you were
when
like
the
right
server hiccuped. Yeah.
So that demonstrates, if you had like that rewind, the rubber banding, is that there's issues with like the performance of the server or the connectivity or whatever, but it's being reconciled by the server. That means that the server is saying, I am not trusting, like, sorry, I blacked out for a bit. Everything you guys told me, forget about it.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you told me was you're here, and then I passed out. As far as I'm concerned, you're still here.
It's like the ref of a game passing out. It's like, wait. Everything that happened, we can't call it good because I need to see it.
I mean, and that's weird, because people always talk about like speed hackers. Oh, I see speed hackers, and whenever the topic of cheating comes up, it's always like I understand that like you can never know if there's cheaters, but there's the one case where it's super obvious where people zoom by me, and it's like, no, that's the most commonly, more often than not.
The speed hacking is more commonly desync. The desync's just so bad it looks like speed hacking.
I've never seen, other than watching like clips from other like bigger streamers like Summit, and he's getting like trolled by a dude with like 2 thick item cases in his backpack. I've never actually seen a speed hacker that I know of, but I have seen a lot of people that look like they're speed hacking, but because the server hiccups for a second or two, that's all it takes for somebody to be in the hallway in a split second and shoot you and die.
Yep.
It's far more likely that that's desync than speed hacking, because just think about what, when people need to think about what would happen if you're standing, just picture you're standing at like half court in a basketball court, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at time 1, you start a stopwatch. A speed hacker could run around you 10 times, let's say in 1 second. And what he's perceiving is hyperspeed for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
For 1 second going 10 times speed. You perceive as the same thing. Now, let's say you start the stopwatch at 1 second, and you both stand there for a second, but the server's frozen. And then he runs around you 10 times while the server's frozen, and then he stops. On his screen, he was moving, shooting you. You look like a cheater because you were eating bullets and nothing was happening. You were just running in place.
Yep.
And then on your screen, he's fucking catching up.
Yep.
You have to think about there's different kinds of movement. And if you do something and then someone reacts in real time over an extended period of time, that's when over the course of 3 seconds, if you go from point A to point B, hop up onto a thing, climb a ladder, and then jump off a thing, and he instantly is reacting to all of those things, that's a speed hacker.
Yep.
But if you're in one spot, just like jiggle peeking or whatever, there's no way to tell.
Yeah,
because
especially since so many fights in Tarkov happen through doorways. Like, it's so much more common that that hiccup would happen, and he just speeds by the doorway, and it wasn't even that extended of a period of time. Or like a speed hacker would be like, like just like Roadrunner, but you see, people see doors and they go, they see that and they go, oh, freaking speed hacker, and it's like,
yeah. You never see, like in PUBG back in the day, you used to see people running circles around.
Oh, yeah, just like ice skating.
For like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Like that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
If it was desync, it's totally different. It would be a different experience because you have to think about like the passage of time.
Yeah.
Is kind of different. Oh man, I need to do like a video on the kind of like relativity time dilation sort of thing of like desync versus speed hacker and how you can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
In many cases.
I think I've only had it happen to me one time. It was like, maybe even 2 wipes ago. I was on Shoreline, and apparently all he had was speed, because he was just on Shoreline. He was just trying to farm loot with his speed, and he only had a TT. And I was like running around. It was me and Desmond. I had like an alt and then a class 5 armor. So it was like pop, 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 and I was getting hit. And every time we'd look around, we couldn't find anybody. And the dude just came zooming over the hill. He didn't have any more ammo. He tried to hatch at me. He was like, meow, and I'm just like watching Roadrunner towards me. And I'm just like, brrr. And then I loot him. All he's got is the TT, not another mag or anything. And I was like, okay, dick. But
was that customs clip of you and was it Desmond way back in the day where you guys had like total packet loss and everything? And he was like, dude, I pulled that up on stream.
That was nuts.
And I had them side by side because I was having the conversation with chat and they're all saying like, it's easy to tell. Like, there are cases where know 100% it's a cheater because they're zooming around and you're hitting them and they're not doing it. And I'm like, okay. So I pulled up both of those clips. I cropped out the fact that it was like you and Desmond and I synced them up. And you could see he like walks up the stairs with his SKS and goes like, pop, 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 comes down. Yep. But all you see is him teleporting through the wall, flying around like this, and then you hear.
It's like all the SKS shots happen like once.
Yep, dude, and he's just fucking going like this, and it's like you would think he was a cheater.
Dude, if I wasn't on that Discord call with him, I would have been like, "Yo, there's a cheater here," like 100%.
You're like, dog, I can't play with you anymore, dude. You're cheating.
It was wild. Yeah, that was crazy. Now that being said, you're absolutely right. And every time we talk about cheaters, it definitely goes sour. Have you experienced anything overwhelmingly suspicious? It's been permeating the social media again, and I hate that because what that does is it brings our threshold to call cheats down, the average community. When it starts spreading on social media, whether consciously or subconsciously, we're all more likely to call something sus. And I'm all for the reports, man. The reports are there. If you genuinely think that was sus, you don't like. That's another thing in the community. It's like sometimes if you're a streamer and you report somebody, they're like, "Oh my god, you just report everybody." It's like, dude, that's what it's there for.
You're just salty, dude.
If it's sus enough for me to want to report, it's there for that. They'll know that on the other hand. And Nikita's already said people that just report everybody get flagged, and it's like the suggestion box. That's the trash can. It's like that's where yours go. You know what I mean? So I get that, and I've been really trying hard not to go down that path, like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, to understand that, like, have an understanding of the desync and the netcode. But I have 100% come across a few. So I've come across basically the entire last wipe already this wipe.
There's been a few that, when looking back at them, because I try to clip them, and some of them have been like, I've been glad because I was like, that was fucked, and then I find out they have like a TV in their name. I'm like, yes, pull up the stream, and if they're not streaming, I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, but if they are, then I can like compare. And there have been a few that have been really sketchy in terms of like, it was a combination of Peeker's advantage plus like a certain angle where it was like, I was on Shoreline looking down the hallway, and I had like my flashlight, and I was just waiting for him to like re-peek, and it was like there's like a shelf in the middle of the hallway, kind of right next to one of the doors, and it was like I saw nothing. I was just dead, and it was like, what the fuck? What was that? And then I watched it back, and all you see is like 4 pixels of an elbow for 4 frames.
Yeah.
And then I'm dead. But when you saw it from his perspective, actually all you could see was, because it wasn't him, it was his teammate, and he was watching his teammate. He was like the cameraman. I got killed by the guy, but he wasn't streaming, but his teammate was. So he literally just like wide peeks out and just sprays towards the flashlight. He's like, I didn't see anything. And then for 30 seconds they were throwing grenades. I was dead.
But
they
you
didn't know.
Yeah.
But it was like part of that is like the angle of, if you're like sitting there and you have like a door jam here and then like a box here, and then like if they peek out, like they can shoot and hit you with their gun even though you can't see them because they're on the right side, whereas, you know what I mean? I don't know, it's
for sure.
But there was one where I was like totally fucking cheating, sent him a friend request, and then I talked to him, and I feel like he got banned.
Good.
So do you want me to read the conversation?
Yeah.
Because I went like undercover. Because my name was just like, you don't know me.
Okay.
I just changed it today. But now his name was, which
Jeez.
I thought was an interesting. I'm like, I'm either happy for your pride, buddy,
or
you're a piece of shit for being a toxic asshole. But also EOD account. Level 36. Now, the fact that I talked to him over the couple of days and he was like level 33, 34, 35, 36, and then like 2 days after I sent some information over and everything, he stopped answering me. But anyway, so I sent him a friend request. He just sends me back a smiley face. So then I was like, how did you get so good? And he says, what do you mean? And I wrote, what provider? Because do you remember that meme? There was a video where where I kept killing a cheater in factory repeatedly.
Okay.
And then when we were talking, he was like, what provider? Like, he asked me what provider I had.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
Because he was basically like, oh, yeah, I'm a cheater, but like, I can tell you keep killing me, so you must be a cheater too. I was just pre-firing when he was rushing through doorways because he had wall hacks, right? So it was like, what provider? And I was like, oh, bud. Oh, bud. So I answered this guy with what provider? And he said, buy from me. And I said, do you have info? How much? 15 Canadian a day. And actually, you know what? You should go back and bleep out when I said his name, because I don't want anybody to message this guy or something like that. You'll probably, if you forget, that's okay. But
I'll make a note of it right now.
But yeah, so 15 Canadian a day. He said, item ESP, silent aimbot, spoofer, etc. Aimbot is incredibly good. And I said, you even have EOD. Isn't that risky? He said, no, undetected now for 3 months. He says, I think the evidence is the fact that this is an EOD account. And I said, did you make it? And he said, I'm associated with a developer of it. I was like, PayPal, or like trying to like, you gotta dangle the money and then like ask some questions, and then if they dangle a little bit of money and then ask the, like, I'm not a cop, and I was like, PayPal, or I'm not sure yet. And he says, just let me know, no rush, got 30 people under us running them. And I said, LOL, which servers? I'll have to stay clear of them, XD, until of course I buy. And he said, auto US. Fuck.
God dang it.
And I was like, what happens if I were to get banned after I bought? He says, no way of getting banned if it's undetected. I said, isn't every cheat undetected until it's detected? And he says, yes, Lamau. You get banned, you lose the account. That's the risk associated, but I'm running it on my main. I said, can you see other people with cheats in the same lobby? It has a KD filter you can put on. Anyone over 10 is usually cheating. You can also see their weapons, when they can see you, etc. Has radar as well. And then I said, and then like the next day I was like, how many raids are there other hackers in there? And I'm like, yo, you there? 2 days later, hello? Like, and he stopped answering. And this was like 2 or 3 days after I sent the whole conversation and everything with this account to Nikita. and everything. So I don't.
First off, just you out here doing the Lord's work, going undercover, getting the info, and then sending that junk to Nikita. Hell yes,
dude,
bro.
I kept like covering. I would bring up my full screen camera so that I could like write to this guy. But there were a few times on stream where I like accidentally hit, or I'd like open up my insurance to try to collect in my last conversation, and I'm like, people are gonna legit think I'm like. Be like,
sourcing cheats.
I want to buy. Yeah, dude, I want to buy fucking radar. Yeah, man.
Oh, that would be a Reddit post. My God.
If I was actually good at the game, it would be controversial.
Yeah.
But I'm demonstrably shitty at the game, so like.
Oh my God. That is, like amazing and terrible and depressing all at the same time. I hope they discovered his undiscovered cheats. See, what's interesting is that like almost every time that I have been like really confident enough to plant my flag and be like, that guy's cheating, it's been exactly what you said before, where we see a 5-man and one of them's cheating and they're paying for the Sherpa. Because that's the easiest way to do it now, right? Because you can't really sell that much on the flea. You can't
get flagged for like you're not giving items to people.
Yeah, you can't pass many items anymore. You can only take a few Bitcoin. You can only take so much money. You can't, the flea, it's hard to do. And I remember like back last wipe, you said that you did the whole interview with the cheat dev like series, and you were saying that was the big thing. Is that how they were doing it? Bro, the other day we had come in, we were in West Wing, and like Sealable's like running up to the top to like place his jammer on the top of Shoreline. And I peeked the helicopter and I was like, 5-man, 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 5-man. And you see 4 dudes in like the penis helmets like running. And then one dude stays back at the helicopter. Fully chatted out at the helicopter. And I'm like, I've got however many pixels my forehead is and then my eyes above. I've crouched down and I'm like, by a box, and I'm looking, I'm like, yo, I was like, one's by helicopter. And he's like, where? He's trying to plan his thing. I was like, I think everyone else went east. And it was a little boink, and an AP-20 to the dome, it ricocheted. And I was like, what? And I laid down. I was like, dude, and I wasn't even at cheats yet. I was like, yo, I have no idea how this guy saw me. That was insane. Sealable walks to the edge, boom, dead. AP-20 to his head. He just gets destroyed. So all
that guy saw was like the building, dude, and then a red box come 100%. Up to the end, and you know that his muzzle was just snapped on, and automatically,
instant. So I run out of east, and I needed to plant the marker at the damn helicopter. So I went like out of west. I went down by the bus station. I went around by power. I came back up to try and plant the thing, dude. I peek my head over to try and plant it. I lose an arm, I lose a stomach, I lose a leg. And I was like, dude, screw you. I ditched all my stuff in a bush. I flicked him off through the mountain. And then as I was running down the mountain, he was shooting at me through the mountain.
The ground?
Yeah, through the ground. Like I wasn't connecting any shots, but he was shooting at me through the ground. I was like, dude, what the hell? Like
that's exactly what happened with this guy. It was kind of one of those cases where it was like I would go behind cover, flank around this thing far enough away that he couldn't see, and the whole time it's just like bullets tracing me through. Like he's shooting basically in a way to let me know that like I see you, bitch. Like because he knows the bullets are not going to go through the dirt. You know what I mean? Through 3 hills and a fucking rocky mountainside. But it's like they're just doing that almost to fucking intimidate you or something. Yeah, it's fucking shitty.
And then last night, same thing. We pushed into Shoreline. It's been happening a lot on Shoreline. And we found like 3 dudes in 110 and they were all waiting. And an M1A dude just like zipped. He killed me and my partner. Just headshots, first shot, just like no way to know. And it's just like, well, it just sucks. Like, and so I hate, it makes sense, but I hate the correlation to the like, when the game is at its healthiest, that's when that's going to be most because more people want to buy rubles, so more people are cheating and more people are bringing people in.
Nobody was talking about cheats in the last couple of weeks.
For the past 100%, nobody. And so it's like it's such a buzzkill, you know what I mean? And like, and then you get the whole thing where it's like, it's frustrating and we're totally allowed to like vent about it and be frustrated, but then you get the whole like, battle sync game, like just fix, just ban the cheaters, just fix the cheaters. And I try to like, it's
we want to be critical, but be
but realistic, dude.
But on planet Earth, like,
And the thing I keep telling people,
frustrating. It's a really hard thing to do. They're never gonna solve it, but we're still fucking frustrated, and we want there to be some sort of stopgap.
And that's what's frustrating is if I get cheated on and lose my best kit as a gamer, I express frustration. But then you get put in the camp with all the people who are like, BSG sucks. They don't just ban the cheaters. And it's like, oh no, I think you're ridiculous. Like, I'm gonna complain when I get cheated, but I think you're ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like how fast can the cops get to your house when you call 911? As fast as possible. They can't get there before the criminal breaks your window, right? Like, that's part of it. And the other thing is, like, when people just get all pissy about it, like they know everything, it's like, look, every single opinion has such an opposite side. Like, I know nothing about networking, but I know that somebody's going to say, IP ban. And then I know someone else is going to say, well, you can get a VPN. And then I know someone else is going to say, well, they should hardware ID. And then I know someone else is going to say, well, you can get spoofers. And I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about it, but I know enough to know all your suggestions are stupid, because if other people that don't know anything about it know how to spoof your suggestions, then I don't have to be god tier at anti-cheat to know that, like, they're probably doing the best that they can. You know what I mean? So it's like, I hate it because I don't want to be put in that bucket with those people, but sometimes you just want to rage a little bit that you got cheated and you had your best kit. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
it's almost like there's, nuance to all these fucking discussions, and everybody wants to be on either side of it. And I mean, we talked about this before, where it's like, the party system is fucked, and if you disagree with someone on the left, they think you're on the far right, and vice versa. And it's like, no, I'm on the side of, like, trying to be fucking reasonable
about each thing,
and there's
one
not
at
a name.
time.
And there's not a name for it. It's hard. I mean, sometimes it's like hypocritical, sometimes it feels hypocritical, sometimes it looks hypocritical, but it isn't. But like, I can bitch about a cheater when I see the thing we just talked about. It's something that, like, enough reasonable people would be over the threshold whether, like, that person was cheating.
Yeah.
Whereas if you see some fucking wicked quick, impossibly fast thing that could be explained by desync because it wasn't impossibly fast on their screen, where, like, someone would be like, fucking dude, I the last 27 raids I died to cheaters. It's like, that's ridiculous. And then the next raid I get killed by a cheater, and it's like, but now I can't complain.
Yep.
Right? But otherwise I'm a hypocrite. And it's like, you have to just use fucking common sense, and you have to also know, like, even when I'm sure, I'm only 99.9% sure.
For sure. Same here. You know what I mean?
Because all it's going to take is for me to say I am 100% sure, and then for that to have been Deadly Slob live streaming. And then he was like, why is the server so fucked? And he's like, there's a bug where I'm just locking on to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's a million crazy things I could think of that could result in that. It's far more likely Occam's razor, says that they're cheating, but it's not impossible.
Yep.
So sure. I don't know. And I had the same. Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and what's frustrating is that it makes because we've talked about this at length, that old podcast about how, like, Tarkov at its base is set up for, like, crazy things to happen. It's the whole, like, anything that can happen will happen. You see the clips of somebody pulling 3 lead X's out of a red duffel bag. Like, statistically, that's nearly impossible, but it's going to happen eventually, and that's Tarkov. And
it's winning the lottery.
Exactly. And what's frustrating is that, well, like we said earlier, so many of those things get pushed into cheater land. And it happened to me, dude. I was getting frustrated. I was having a really bad day on Shoreline. Shoreline is where I experienced all of the suspicious encounters. It's where I've watched other people. And I hear a guy running. I crouch. I lean. I've only got a little bit of me exposed. This dude jumps. We're in, like, the villages. He jumps over the fence and lands in a bush. And from the bush, shoots at me with a shotgun and hits my leg. And I was like, no way he saw me. So I reposition, and he runs across the street. And then he wall bangs me through the fence and hits me twice, and I die. And I was like, chat. And I was like, cheat. I was, like, frustrated. I was like, that dude's cheating. I was getting ready to report. And I was like, oh, EOD, oh, TTV. And then people came in with the clip. Like I didn't report him, but I was like,
did it not render in on his screen? Or?
No, it was a combination of a little bit of desync and him like just being a god. Like he just knew to be looking around. He had really
one
good aim.
One of those dudes that's like level 40 already, super Chad, has like 4 viewers, but somehow is just like a cracked out 17-year-old god or whatever.
I don't know how many viewers he had, but yes, he was a god tier. He knew that he could shoot through the fence. You could see me like just a tiny bit moving, crawling through the fence. So he took a shot. So it's like it was a mixture of
all
his
the best
knowledge.
Tarkov players have single-digit viewers. I'm telling you right now.
And it was just like, man, and that was a check myself for me because I was like, damn, like, I don't want that to be tainted. I want to be like, yo, GG's, you just annihilated me, homie. But I was about ready to report him. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just frustrating. But I'm positive that they're doing all that they can do. You know what I mean? Like nobody.
As long as like I can deal with people being like, this was sus and this was sus, and it's like, okay, well, you know, watch my fucking video where I talk about all these other alternative explanations for all these things, and like maybe you'll, you know, get educated as to. I'm not even saying like you're wrong and you're always going to be wrong.
For sure.
Because like the person that you say, like if someone just comes in and complains about a cheater, it's like, to me, it's a 50-50 chance.
For sure.
It's just a random one-off. But it's like, as long as people know. Once you learn about the basics of like all of the things to be skeptical of and to be knowledgeable of in Tarkov in terms of desync and how penetration works and all of these all the weird idiosyncrasies, like how you can be like peeking over a thing and then like the sandbag somebody's in front of like might not render like on interchange. Yeah. Like there are instances where you have to go through all of these, like, could it have been this? 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 And a lot of people just don't know about those things. So usually, you know, it's like, let me spit out as if almost as, I mean, there's no way to do it without coming off like I'm being completely dismissive of your dumb conspiracy theory. Here's the fucking answer to your question. But at the same time, it's like we have these conversations 100 times a day for 3 years over and over and over and over and over again. And then everybody comes in and they're like, yeah, but have you thought about hardware ID banning? And you're like, you mother, you know, like 100%. Wow, no, I haven't thought of that, dude. All the professionals that are working in fucking anti-cheat in the world, none of them ever thought to do this obvious thing that this you 14-year-old kid just came up with, completely ignorant of all the technology. Wow, you're a fucking genius. Nikola Tesla over here.
Dude, 100%. And it's hard, and you're absolutely right. Like there's a laundry list of things that it could be. And I feel so bad for new players because like they don't know that, they don't have that like experience. They don't, you know, maybe they've never played a game. Like if like someone like me who came from like more polished in the sense that like, you know, Call of Duty's network is fine. They've got a cheater problem too. You know what I mean? But like coming to Tarkov, if you're, we talked about this last week too. Like we understand that there's a percentage of the population that just plays the game. They don't watch YouTube videos. They don't watch streams, consume 10, 20, 30 hours of streams. And like, those guys that come in and they see people zapping around, they see stuff not rendering, stuff doesn't render in front of them, you know, they get desynced, they get all that. Like asking them to, not saying that you were, I'm saying like it's an unfortunate circumstance that the game state asks them to know those things on top of knowing, you know, if you're a new player, penetration, ammo, armor values, weapon durability, burn, attachments, what fits on what level do I get level 20? Why can't I link search? Like on top of all that stuff. Yeah,
but that's why
if you're a new player, you're going to think everyone's cheating. You know what I mean?
But that's why, and it all goes back to like my core fucking life philosophy on just like skepticism, critical thinking. Like if I started to play, are you familiar with DCS?
Yeah, it's like a sim?
Like super serious flight sim. Like you could you know, like Operator Drewski could probably like fly a fucking F-16 like in real life. Like he could probably fucking take off and maybe even do more. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know what I don't know there. But it's like if I started to play DCS, a week in, I started to do like, you know, dog fights, and I was getting wrecked by people doing things I didn't understand.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is I'm so new, I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. It's the equivalent of going back to the 1300s and pulling out an iPhone. I'm going to assume I don't understand the technology, not this person's a witch.
Yeah.
So if you're new to a video game, you need to not, for a very long time, until you are extremely knowledgeable and well versed in all of the specifics, don't make any fucking claims about anything. Assume that you're an idiot, because you probably are, and that's not like a hit against you, because everybody's an idiot on something that they just started learning about. So stop saying I get killed by cheaters every raid. I'm level 3. This is my first wipe, and start saying, is it possible that there's cheaters, or why would I think there? Ask more fucking questions and stop making claims. Otherwise, people are just going to call you an idiot. And honestly, a lot of that's on you. Like, if I jumped into the DCS community and started making claims about like, this is bugged, or this whatever, or this doesn't work right, or this person's cheating, I would expect to get fucking lambasted and laughed out of the community for pretending like I knew what I was talking about and making claims about people and, ethics or whatever, or about like the way that the game works and is designed. I would expect that. They would be toxic to be like, fuck you, clown, and kick me out of the community, but it would also be like rightfully so. At some point, you just have to realize like there's only so much patience for ignorance and stupidity, and people just need to realize like
and unwillingness to learn.
Just be like, everybody should start with, I know nothing. That's okay. I'm not ashamed. There's nothing to be sad about or down about, or I shouldn't be like ashamed that I know nothing. You should want to learn and ask questions. Don't start asserting shit, and then when somebody who has 10,000 hours looks at you and says, trust me, the thing you're talking about, no, they have 8 million hours of conversation in their head and rebuttals to your rebuttals, and they're 27 steps ahead of you in this conversation, and have them be like, oh yeah, he can't answer my, so I must be right. Why don't they hardware ban it? Veritas didn't tell me that they do hardware ban, or that, that it's irrelevant or whatever, so it must be true. Fucking A, like, Christ.
Yep. No, I get you. I mean, there's definitely an impetus to learn and to trust, and and I think just a general shift that's needed in a lot of people to make less claims, ask more questions. You just end up in a better spot.
Imagine if everybody entered a conversation, and this is why I come off combative, I think, a lot, because I enter every conversation like, all right, change my fucking mind. And I don't mean that snarkily. I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, let's do this, change my mind. Like, convince me, and maybe I don't know anything. Convince me of A or B. Like in high school when you do debates, and it was like, oh, I have to debate this asinine thing that I don't agree with. Okay. And I would win those fucking debates, even though it like hurt me at my core. But that just proves that you don't have to be right to be convincing.
100%.
You can, as long as you have some motivation to push you towards some sort of narrative or whatever, you can fit shit to, fit into however you want.
100%.
So just approach things with the idea that, try to get a realistic perspective for, this is the person who's an expert. This is a person, a newborn baby. I'm somewhere in between here. And then anybody should always look above and try to learn from the other people, and slowly they'll climb up to the ladder to the point where they can look down and start saying, nope, like.
For sure. I completely agree.
That's my rant.
I love it. You tweeted out, I'm excited to hear about this. You tweeted out that you're working on another Comtact science video. There's been a lot of new Comtacts. There's been a lot of new ears added to the game, but additionally,
there's so many.
Additionally, you put that in way before some of the maps with new textures that people walk on. There's been a lot of audio changes and like small things that was supposed to fix this or fix that. Steam audio was added, so it's gonna be interesting.
So after I recorded all of the like offline stuff by myself, like here's what a grenade sounds like, but then I end up going into a couple of raids with a homie from the community church, and he helped me do a bunch. Man, it's tough with the weight system and everything. Like, you come into a round with like mags and a gun to defend yourself, but like, and then I have 700 rubles, and the last bit of my money is in 8 sets of contacts on in my backpack. I can't even buy a backpack to fit it all. I had to get like a rig and a helmet to like put the rack headset on, plus and it's like I want to do a test where I run 20 feet and I'm like out of stamina, so now I'm going and it's ruining the fucking like audio, you know. So dude, it was tough doing the science, but
Jeez.
basically I'm going to be doing another I did a poll as well asking about if I should do it blind or not, because the first time I did it I literally showed what I would. There was only 3 sets of headphones, well 4, but the rack headphones and the Sordens historically were identical, the same parameters, so there was no difference, but now I think that there is a difference. I haven't like looked into the numbers yet. I just collected basically 20 different things about like someone in another room with 2 doors and a hallway between us opening their inventory, like what that sounds like, hearing like the or like reloading 20 feet in front of me while it's like drizzling outside, and then like doing that 8 times without headphones, and then 9 times without headphones, and then with the 8 different sets of headphones. But the one thing I was able to conclude, speaking of church, that's him. First time I extracted with 10 headsets. Yeah, thanks for that. We got attacked by a squad and got hunted down on shoreline, and
jeez.
One of the things we were testing was him basically being like, he's a bear, so doing like the voice comms through the wall, and we had to like run away from like the shore all the way up to like power station. And we were in the power station, like in the bathroom, and all of a sudden, you know, he's sitting there going, "No, niet, stop, stop, Nese, stop," you know, and I'm like recording all of the things, switching headphones. You just hear footsteps. God. Fuck! So I ended up getting killed, and you know, 20 minutes later, he's out with all the headphones because I'm like, I can't afford to buy any more headphones.
Seriously.
But yeah, so one of the things that that changed a little bit of the trajectory, kind of similar to the optics, the way the optics thing went, was at the end when we were in shoreline, the final thing we did, we were going to do some more testing, but something is fucked up again with the audio, and I don't know if it's the same sort of flavor that's always happened, which is multiple floors and all the different things.
Bro.
There's something going on with like if you're in like East Wing on the first floor, like you can hear the outside noise in like part of it.
Something is wrong on shoreline. Something is wrong on shoreline. Yeah.
I think there's something wrong with a lot of different maps, because on Interchange you can run through, you know, like a lot of the stores have wood floors.
Yeah. They
don't sound like wood anymore. A bunch of like half of them just sound like concrete.
Yeah.
You don't get that really loud wood floor sound. So they did something with the occlusion or whatever. I have no idea if this was like a regression or not. And it's independent of Steam Audio. Binaural audio has nothing to do with that.
100%.
Because Church had Steam Audio off and I had it on, and we were testing. It was like we stayed until almost the end of the shoreline raid. I was on the first floor, and to break down in simplest terms, if you're on the same floor in the hallway, you can tell that you're in the same floor in the hallway, except there are those like half walls that kind of jut out that almost separate the hallway into like sections.
Yeah.
If you step behind that, your audio is like occluded, almost as if you're in a room. So that's different. But then there's no difference. 0 difference between first floor and second floor and third floor in the roof if you're on the first. So all you can tell is they're on the same floor as me, or they're on another floor. But the basement, the roof, it all sounds identical. And he had Steam Audio off. He had Tequila's helmet on, and I had contacts, and it was the same. I was up on the roof, and he was like, "You're on the first floor, I don't know, second floor," and I would go down, and he's like, "It sounds the exact same," and it was the same for me too. So I'm not even gonna do any more sound testing. This is only just gonna be the contacts and like what's the difference
just
between
comparing
them,
and contrasting,
because the sound's so fucked.
Dude,
still, you know.
I was so sad. Something, and I think I've noticed it a little bit on other maps, but like Shoreline is like, dude, Shoreline is like our home. Me and Sealable rolled up. He rocked up to like third floor. I was on first, and I was playing with Geeks, and it was so like it was actually 30 seconds of like, wait, so you're not on third? You know, I'm not. No, I'm this, and it's like, but somebody's there, and then you peek up on third, and nobody's there, and it's like, it was like, all right, well, I guess we have to be attached at the hip, because you can't tactically separate anymore because you can't trust.
Welcome to my world.
You can't trust.
I don't know comms
audio.
and I can't trust the audio, which I rely on.
Bro, something is bad, bro. I don't know what happened, but it makes me very, very sad. But either way, I'm excited. I'm excited to see because not only have they added new things, but they've changed things. Like I think the biggest like indicators, like the GSSHs, like 3 patches ago, they were like considered meta, and then something happened, and now like I can't stand them. I used to main GSSHs, and now I can't stand them. So like,
wait, you used to main I don't remember that ever. I remember when the Kiver was meta, and there was no face hitbox. But
way after that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I remember all the way back. I don't remember the GSSHs ever being fucking good.
Oh, dude, they were choice for me at least a while ago, and then they changed them, and now I can't. It just feels like razor blades being shoved into my ears with every blade of grass I step on.
Maybe you just sort of like finally saw the light.
Nah,
because that's the way it's always been.
Dude, I'm telling you, they've big change GSSHs.
Dude, it's so funny now because the more I produce music, the better I'm getting at, like, I can hear all the things that when I'd watch tutorials about, like, here's how you EQ guitars to sit good in a mix, and you realize, like, oh, there's that frequency that someone's like, can you hear the frequency? And I'm like, no, I just hear fucking guitars, but then now I hear, like, these very specific frequencies where I can go and I can almost guess, like, oh, it's going to be like 600 hertz, and I'll like boost it, and it'll be the same, like it's not even like a guitar noise. It's like you turn it up and it's just like, it's a guitar, but then this one frequency is a dying duck. And it's like, oh, holy shit. Like, you just turn that down, and then now it's like your guitar is much cleaner because you just cut that.
Yep.
The GSSHs and a few of the other headphones have very specific boosts on frequencies that are like,
awful
terrible,
frequencies.
Dude.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to see the video for sure.
Yeah, yep. So I'm gonna I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it blind. The hard part is that when there was the first video I did, there was 3. The second video I did, there was 5, and then now there's 8. When there's 3 things, and I'm like, which do you like best? A, B, or C?
Oh.
You're like, oh, okay, B is good. But when you hear A, then B. Imagine going to the eye doctor. You know how they do, like, what's better, 1 or 2? Imagine if they're like, what's better, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. You're like, I don't remember what 2 or 3. You can only ever compare like adjacent.
Yep, 2 or 3 is like the max.
So I don't know. I feel like I have to kind of be creative, and
that is hard. That's really hard.
It's almost gonna have to be like, you're gonna have 1 through 8 on a list.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you 1 through 8. I'm not gonna tell you which is 1 and which is 8 or which is 5, whatever. And then it's almost like if something is like offensive to your ear, give it a point. And then you want, like, golf score, you want to get the smallest amount of points or something, because there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, that's better. Oh, that's a lot better. Oh, well, seemed, I don't know, like just as good as the second one. Okay, maybe it was somewhere between second and third. And then, oh god, that sucks. That's terrible.
That's true.
Oh, that one's back to being good again. But now, it's like my palate was ruined.
Yeah, that's
like,
a good idea.
Like the palate cleansing crackers in between the wine sips.
Yeah.
Because it's like you hear the GSSHs. And I'm like spoiling it, but like right now the way I have it is that the GSSHs are at the end. Because I was like, it's gonna unfairly make everything that comes after the GSSHs, like whatever's right afterwards, sound disproportionately good.
That's so true.
I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
That is hard. There's so many, and sound is so nuanced, bro. I mean, yeah,
it's almost like you got to compare A and B, A and C, A and D,
100%, which would just take years.
It's a 5-hour video.
100%. For sure. And dude, sound it's one of, man, spending hours and hours and hours in a venue, like trying to mix the room, and you're like, oh, it sounds great. You go eat lunch and you come back and you're like, this is terrible. It's like, well, that's because you spent 4 hours mixing, and you just kept
fatigue.
Yeah, mixing into your fatigue, and then you come back and you're like, this sounds terrible. Like, sound is so hard. Yeah. That's rough.
And then there's a bunch of things that are like so different. Like running sound and jumping sounds, but then there are a few things like reloads that through all the EQ, all the different headphones, they're indistinguishable.
Interesting.
So it's like, it's almost like every sound must have a tag that categorizes it, and it's like it gets run through a filter, which makes sense because like Tarkov, and I talk about this in one of my other videos. I'm not going to repeat what I said in like the second video in this video. I'm just going to say go back and watch that. But like there's ambient sound, and then there's like player sounds. When you put on the headphones, the ambient sounds go down and player sounds go up. The only way that the game could do that is if it knew that both, and this is not the way it is, but you know, player.mp3 and birds chirping.mp3 are two different things that are categorized differently and processed differently.
Yeah.
But I wonder how granular it is. Is a reload different than a malfunction that's different than a gunshot? They all come from the gun.
That is interesting, yeah.
So I don't know, but they seem to have different handling. That I don't know.
That makes a lot of sense. It would have to, because it's not just processing the entire stream of audio; it's processing things differently. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's super interesting, dude. Yeah, the sound though. Oh, Shoreline is so bad.
Imagine Tarkov with the second implementation of Steam Audio and this netcode being fixed. Can you imagine a world in which the things we're complaining about are secondary to those? Like those things are solved.
I wouldn't need anything else, to be honest with you.
I mean, here's the thing. After a while, we would get spoiled, and we'd be bitching about the littlest things, and that's just how it is.
For sure.
But like, I would much rather be first world problems complaining about, you know, the audio of like pulling a grenade blowing up too fast and the AI being too good than like I can't play the game because the things I see and hear are both untrustworthy.
It's,
you know,
I think about that a lot, dude. I'm like, this game is S tier as it stands. Economy messed up and everything. If the netcode worked and the audio was trustworthy, yeah. I mean, if the audio was just like consistent and trustworthy, it would be amazing. If we had the second implementation of Steam Audio with all that freaking amazing technology around like occlusion. Tarkov is, I mean, it was like designed for Steam Audio. I mean, just the way the maps are laid out, you're like, that would be god tier.
Staircases,
yeah,
and all
dude,
that
in the mall, all the opens, you know what I mean? Like over here, you're underneath concrete, but over in the middle and ultra, you got the 40-foot ceiling straight up. Like it would be god tier. But like somebody said in chat, you remember imagining a world without stutters 2 years ago? You remember when that was so bad? Like every fight, every time was just stutter central. I don't stutter ever anymore, bro.
So I actually don't. I know stutters were a thing.
Yeah.
I don't. It's been so long that I've been dealing with the network stutters that the client side stutters seem like I don't even remember a world. Like I'm thinking back, and now I'm like, you know what I think that was? I think that was a poorly optimized client dealing with the poorly optimized server code. So it would get dumped all this data and then it would lag.
Maybe.
Whereas then they optimized that, so they fixed it so that now the clients aren't overburdened. Each individual client, like computer, can handle it, but the server can't handle all that at once. Because I still have in my netcode video, there's the one case where I'm like CMSing, and you see me do the CMS, and that you see like the menu half go away, and it's like 50% opacity while I'm stuck there. And then all of a sudden the guy goes and kills me and teleports, and it's like, and then the player RTT was at 800 or 1800 or whatever. It's like, oh, all of that backup gets blown on my client, and then my client shit its pants because it got overwhelmed with everything, which caused the stutter. So honestly, I think
it could have been
the networking
connected,
goes back all the way to
I'm
that.
Thankful that the client is better because when you're just running around or something like that, like, oh my god, the stutters were so bad.
Every time you'd exit your menu, it would like sit there for
your menu,
ever.
Scav spawn in, anything like that. Like
I used to say, I'm frozen.
Yeah,
I'm frozen.
I'm frozen.
I'm frozen.
Bro, it was, dude, I remember that. That's true, bro. You know what? They fixed chat's positive right now. They fixed a few things. The stutters, the late spawns. I forgot about late spawns. You know, it's been a while since I've spawned into a raid late.
Well,
holy
everybody
cow.
complains about queue times. And they don't. None of those people realize that it's like, dude, if you don't want late spawns, then the only way of handling that is increasing the queue times, because what that entails is we need to wait in the queue until we get everybody ready.
Yes.
And then we can load everybody.
Yes.
Instead of let's wait until we get, a couple people and then we'll start the queue, or we'll start the raid up, and then if someone joins 2 seconds after the raid starts, it's like, oh, get them in the queue. They'll only be a little bit late.
Yeah.
So instead you have to wait 5 minutes instead of 5 seconds. That's the trade-off.
Dude,
and it's almost like nobody listened.
The problem was that Nikita would say that if you're getting late spawns, it's because you have a bad computer. That was the problem.
He also said that, and I don't know how many of these things are jokes and how many of these things are memes and how many of these things are whatever, but he also said, turning on your FPS thing will hurt your FPS.
Bro, but that was the thing. That was what's frustrating, is like, dude, you could be out here with a, back then a 2080 Ti and a ballin', 10900K, and you'd spawn in 7.5 minutes late to an interchange, and it's like, oh, you have bad computer. And it's like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
I had a 3080 and a 9700K, which is like, at the time, pretty much the best, shit you were
100%. So
in the grand scheme of like the Tarkov player base, it's probably in the top 1 or 2%.
You're not getting late spawns because of your freaking computer when you're at that. So something that has been coming up a lot. I'm sure you've been asked this a million times. We don't have to dwell on it too much, but I'm sure you've seen that as of now, it seems that the requirement to get the Kappa container is to reach level 71.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we just briefly talk about our thoughts on this? I've been getting asked this more than anything, which is so interesting because I feel like I'm getting asked it by people who have never gotten Kappa ever.
Yeah. So my take on it is, you're not entitled. Like, what makes you think that you are entitled to getting some item in the game? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so there's two parts of it. One, I don't consider myself entitled to getting an item. It shouldn't be. As soon as you want to make it reasonable for one person, then you have to say it should be reasonable for everybody. And then there's the guy that plays once a month.
Yeah.
So then there's no excitement, there's no purpose. Then everybody has it, and then who the fuck cares? Then you need to invent a new thing that then it's hard to get, and then people are going to feel entitled to that.
Yeah.
But the other piece of it too is that, like, they changed so many things in the first couple of days.
Yeah.
They changed the XP requirements, they changed the trader levels, they trade all the things. So it's like, how long is 71 going to take? Is it going to take twice as long as it took people to get to 60 last wipe? I don't know. Is it going to take half as long? I don't know. So, like, we don't even know. We're saying this thing is that we don't know what the cost is.
Yeah.
Is way too expensive, and I'm mad about. And it's like, but you're basing that off of the pre-inflation currency value from a year ago, and it's just I don't know.
I agree. Like, I don't care for me, right? Like, because like I think you would agree that we've both had Kappa many times, and we've both played Tarkov long enough to know that, like, it made us 0.00% better at the game, right? It doesn't affect, like, if by the time you get Kappa, you've done all the quests, you don't have anything to unlock, you don't really have hideout atoms to be shoving up your butt. It just doesn't.
Might as well have been an armband.
Exactly.
Like,
it might as well have been an armband. I understand that. So I don't care for me. I think I get it, though. I get some of the things, like, you can't blame somebody too hard for judging based on previous XP requirements, based on what we have. Like, we've got guys at level like 48, 49 right now, and they are streaming, and we can see that the amount of XP that it took to get to 50 is like 1 million more XP than it took to get to 50 last wipe. And assuming that line continues, we also know that, like, based on
yeah,
this.
I was mostly talking about that on like day 2 or day 3. I'm like, I don't know
exactly.
what. Like,
that was my
I'm level 7. You know, like,
that's true. The information was data mined like within the first 48 hours, and then it wasn't until like a week later that somebody finally got to the collector quest and like saw the thing. You know what I mean? And actually saw. My thing is just like. My thing is like I just question that logic so through and through. You know what I mean? Like if it would just make more sense to me for them to delete it from the game. You know what I mean? Because it provides so little value to the player that can attain it. Like we were saying, like at that point, you know, if you got to Kappa, you can afford to, you know, pay for your CMS kit. You know what I mean? Because if it can't fit.
Yeah, but I mean, so think about it this way: there are
7 people are going to get it unless this wipe is 2 years long.
And if that's the case, then honestly, I think that's kind of cool. Like, because so I'm thinking back to putting myself in Nikita's shoes, and if I'm Nikita, all I hear are the echoes from all the content creators at 3/4 of the way through every wipe saying, there's no end game. As soon as I get Kappa, the game is over and there's nothing more to do.
For sure.
Imagine hearing the phrase, as soon as I get Kappa, I'm done playing the game, from all these content creators and people in the community. Imagine hearing that over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, well then I'll just fucking put it at the end. You know, like at the end.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Like I hadn't even considered that really, and you're absolutely right that it is an ocean of content creator or not saying I got Kappa and I got bored. I got Kappa and I got bored. I got Kappa and there was nothing to do.
And it's not just content creators. I didn't even get level 60 last time.
Agree.
And there were people who were not streamers.
The thing is I think that it will have a directly opposite effect. There's two states of the game. There's level 40, which was soft cap because you unlocked all your traders. That's technically it's 42 now, but it was level 40 with soft cap, and then it was Kappa. Those were the two things to do. If I don't feed my kids, if I ignore them, right? And if I sit at this desk and grind labs for 6 months, I won't hit level 71. Okay? So when I hit 40, I'm going to stop tasking, because why am I going to put a balaclava and a scav vest on and go on a shotgun with customs if I've got 10 million rubles and nothing to work for? You know what I mean?
And it's like it's like a 3-day long annoying bullshit quest for like 1200 XP.
For 1200 XP, I could do a labs raid and make 3 times that. Like that's
20 times that.
That's my thing. That is actually a really good point. That it's the parenting thing. You know, you hear the kid being like, can we go? You're like, no. And you know, like he's like, it's bored after Kappa. I'm bored after Kappa. He goes, fine, you can't have Kappa, basically. Like I get that reaction, but it just makes, like, once again, I don't care. It does not matter to me and my playstyle. My problem is with the logic. Inherently, I'm not entitled to any opinion. They can do whatever they want. Like you had all the people getting, you know, we don't want to have to get into it. People are like, it really sounds like you care, Jesse, and I get it, and I hate that because it's like, no, listen to what I'm saying. I don't care for me. Like I don't care if I get the Kappa container. I just can't wrap my head around the logic because, like, dude, like, okay, so remember, like a few days before the wipe when they were still doing those events, like a bunch of the guys that were like level 69 were like level 71 really quick, and they were like, oh, did they raise the level cap? Did you ever see anything about that?
No. Okay. I mean, I probably heard it, but like, I usually, whenever people said 71, I always thought it was a meme because some people are like, I'm level 87 with 8 million KD. And,
so 70 was the hard cap last wipe. Like you just stopped gaining XP after that. And with this wipe, they increased it to 79. But like 3 days before the wipe, a bunch of people that were level 70 were just 71 all of a sudden. And then there were like 2 guys that were 72. And everybody was like, oh, I guess they increased cap to 72. Like it didn't matter, but that was the thing. But the point I'm trying to make is Landmark was 69, I'm pretty sure, in the last few days of the wipe. So who's getting Kappa now? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, what if Landmark is level 69 at the end of the last wipe? If Landmark's not 71, who the hell's getting Kappa? And they made all the XP more.
If they made the XP more,
he was 72 when the change happened, but he was like 69 before that because they shifted the XPs around.
I'm with you, but with an asterisk and a caveat, saying that assumes that between now and any time in the future, that they either are not going to or haven't planned to revisit or add new features, like daily quests or something that will give you a lot more XP. Like, how do we know?
No, you're right.
People might know. I don't. And I'm ignorant, so all I'm saying is that I'm withholding my judgment because my assumption when I first hear that is, well, it's not unreasonable. Like if, let's say, either like the XP comes down or the XP rewards you get go up, or if there's some sort of multiplier, or if your Scav karma affects it in some way, or maybe when you get maxed with fence, like there's a million things that they could do, or they might be planning to do, or they could also just hear all this feedback and change it in a month.
For sure.
And so,
and once again,
like, I don't know.
I agree. I'm not even saying it was a good or bad change. I'm saying that, like, as somebody who plays this game like an above average amount, I just, with the tools, like, because part of it is you can make an argument, like you were saying, where it's like they don't owe anything to us, like they can do whatever they want with the game. But then the other part of it is like, as somebody who's like here to test things, like all I'm saying, like I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. All I'm saying is with the tools I have, with somebody with 3,000 hours in the game, I just can't reconcile the logic. It doesn't mean there isn't logic. And I think it was either Hayes or Tweak, or I think they were actually getting into a conversation on Twitter where they were like, yo, what if a month from now they do like double XP weekends or like something to keep the game fresh? And I was like, that would be dope. You know what I mean? So I definitely, like, there could be some surprises coming, but I just, like, I would just, with the information I have, I just can't reconcile why. Like, I'm going to task, I'm going to, I'm going to play throughout the whole wipe. I'm not, but it was just an interesting thing.
Yeah. So for me, I see where you're coming from, but the logic, I guess, for me is I don't agree with it necessarily, but I can absolutely see, like, Nikita and those guys come up with shit that makes way less sense than what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Which is, people were getting the Kappa super fast and complaining that there's no end game, there's nothing to do. And given the fact that, like, it has to be said that people say, I play until I get the Kappa and then I stop playing.
Oh, yeah.
So that proves that it's a trophy and it's not about the utility of it.
100%.
So it doesn't matter that, like, you're level 71 and you get this thing and then it's like there's no reason to play. It's not about the utility of the thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, it should be like a visual, a golden fucking armband
100%.
Or something. But yeah, I mean,
look at the tracksuit. Going back to your video on, like, Tarkov,
I got 4 kills last time.
Me too.
I'm never gonna have the tracksuit.
I died with like 6 kills. The tracksuit is so interesting because, like, your whole, like, Tarkov's not meant to be fun video. Like please tell me, please, one person that thought that grind was fun, come to me right now. You know what I mean? Like, nobody enjoyed that.
Go in, run to take 10 minutes to run to the center map just to find out that the coin flip, whether or not the boss is going to be there.
Yep.
You've lost, or sometimes you win the coin flip, but somebody's already beaten you to him and you've killed him. So it's like I have to do 1,000 raids to kill him 100 times if I'm lucky.
But like you were saying, the trophy, like, people will do that. People will do that stuff. So for sure. So you're totally right with the whole. It's got to be a response to the. It's not even complaining. It's just the, like, as a dev, you just have to be frustrated of hearing that. Like, I play till I get Kappa and then I play other games, or there's nothing to do after I get Kappa. The game's getting super boring after I get Kappa. Like, well, freaking fine.
Yeah. So many of the people that are complaining would have never fucking gotten it to begin with.
Yeah.
Which to me it just kind of reeks of disingenuity. They're being disingenuous because I feel like they're, like, taking it personally. Not everybody, but I just feel like some people they're the same types of people that are like, I can't play more than 2 hours a week. I need to be able to get the fucking Kappa container. It's like, no.
Yeah, no, that, and
I'm sorry, if I join DCS and I can only fly once a day, I shouldn't have a handicap that makes me equivalent to the people who play it fucking full time.
And I completely agree with that. At no point am I saying that. Yeah, I mean, it's like max level traders are locked behind levels. Like, you have to work for the stuff. And you're right. I think most of the people that have gotten Kappa are actually the ones who have complained the least. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's like, so, but it was just an interesting conversation, conversation, observation. I hope that they've got some cool things planned, but even if they don't, it doesn't change the game for me. It's just an interesting thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, it all comes down to, like, again, the annoyance for me comes down to when people start pretending like they know the reasons or the motivations, or like they know, like, for so long we didn't know what the cost for the reward was.
Yes.
And we didn't know all the numbers in the equation. There's a lot of question marks and unknowns, and then also they don't know what the reasoning is. But then people want to say Battle State made it impossible to do this thing, and they did it because this reason. And it's like, you're talking out of your fucking ass.
That gets me every time.
Battle State doesn't ban cheaters because they profit from selling EOD accounts to cheaters. Like, you can say something that like logically might make sense, but that assumes all your premises are true, and none of them are true.
Exactly.
Or at least haven't been demonstrated to be.
It assumes like more than one thing can make sense. It's assuming that statement you made is truer and makes more sense than any other conceivable possible thing. It's like, just because your line of logic gets you from point A to point B, it doesn't mean that it's the best way to get there. It doesn't mean it was the route that the people you're talking about took. Like just because you can draw a line doesn't mean, you know what I mean? So I get that. That's very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. I don't know. I mean, there's like, we're already an hour and a half. There's a lot of other stuff going on. I mean, the progression has been feeling super interesting. I've noticed certain things, like they've removed certain ammos from the traders. You can't buy AP 6.3, 7 and 31, 995. I mean, which
I'm all for. I mean, that that's something that like flew under the radar for a while, and I haven't even really noticed it. And the reason why, I mean, that's a good thing. Like, that's a good sign for me, because now at this point I would be complaining, well, like, everybody has fucking all the good shit now. So I don't know. I still feel like we're in this kind of early wipe, scrappy phase,
and I love it.
Even though I'm wearing level 4, I mean, I was wearing rockin' level 4 armor by like 2 or 3, like second or third day. At that point, it's like I'm only wearing level 4 unless I have a quest that requires something less, or it got damaged and I'm swapping it out. But for the most part, like, my ideal budget kit is going to be like a level 4 fucking rig.
The rig, my problem with the ammo thing, though, is like, I love the spirit behind them doing it, but I just think I don't think it's going to change anything, because all of those ammos are craftable, and if they're craftable, they're found in raid, and if they're found in raid, they're on the flea. Like, all those ammos are removed from traders, and they're stupid cheap on the flea market, like 995 for 800 rubles.
The question is, have they changed it so that, like, and I remember this is something that Nikita had mentioned, I think, in one of our group chats that we had, like off stream, or maybe it was on stream, I don't remember, but it was like, okay, well then I'll just make the fucking, rather than take 6 hours to make 200 rounds of 995, I'll just make it 3 days. It's like,
it's not. Not that I can tell. It's not that severe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the crafts. I haven't really been doing any crafting other than crafting. I mean, of course, I didn't do that before, because I'm just 300 rounds is 1 or 2 instant death raids. So it's like, I'm not going to invest my mental power in buying the things, keeping track of what the trades are, and then building it, or waiting 3 days for 1 raid's worth of ammo to insta die to, just to give to somebody else. You know.
No, I get it, and like I said, we don't have to go deep into it, like, because I like the spirit of the change. My fear is just that the net over time will just be that the people
delaying the inevitable.
The people not even delaying the inevitable. It actually hurts certain people. Because the casual person can't afford it. The casual person can buy it. The casual person could at least wait at a trader reset and buy it for that price, but they can't afford 2,900 rubles a round. And the guy that ends up with 70 million rubles, he's not that inconvenienced by not being able to buy his 90 rounds every reset. Whereas, you know what I mean? Like we've talked about before, my whole idea for the civilian flea, you flip it, ammo, armor, and guns can't be put on the flea market. Now you can craft it and buy it from the traders, but it's risk reward. It's like if you run out of 995, you can craft more, but that means for those 3 hours while it's crafting, you have to run something else. And then if you craft it and you die with your kit, that person gets it. Now you have to start the craft over again. It's like it's the game. The hideout has a purpose. The flea market has a purpose. It's a game. You know, you as a Chad, you're still rewarded for your time spent in game because you could have maybe crafted up a stock of it and then now have it. But as a casual player, you still have access to it. Like my worry is that it feels like a really good change, and then 5 months from now, that's
missing the mark.
Yes, instead of 30 seconds, you being able to get it for $6 a round, and everything else is 3,700 rubles a round. It's just 24/7. Everything is 3,700 rubles a round.
Did we have this conversation a couple weeks ago, or because I know I had this conversation with Nikita and a bunch of people in like a group chat, but I don't think it was on stream, and I don't remember if we talked about it. But my whole thesis. And I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. I don't think I talked about it actually, and I was like really emotionally and like intellectually just fucking beat down and tired for the same exact thing that you're talking about, which was essentially like people were saying. Here's the conversation that was being had. It was essentially, everybody was saying like, well, we want to make a lot of these things accessible to the casual players. So that's why we're going to have the crafts there.
Yeah.
But then also I want to make, and this is like not quoting anybody, but loosely talking about like sort of what Nikita was saying in general. And I want to make it, so I want to make a lot of these high tier stuff accessible to newbies. And I also want to be able to satisfy the people who just play like the hideout crafting flea market mini game.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is make it so that like we'll remove the ammo from traders and keep it so that it spawns in the world and so that you can craft it. And my response was ultimately that makes the divide larger between the people who are the Chads, killing all of the people who get so frustrated that they only play the hideout minigame. Because those people are going to craft 995 and they're not going to use it.
No, they're just
going to sell it to the Chads, and the Chads are going to run over the fucking honey badgers
100%.
And take all the money. And then the low down people are just going to spend all their time in the hideout. And that's what. Fuck, I just realized that this is the thing I told them not to do.
Bro, that's why I made a freaking 20-minute video on my idea for the whole civilian flea. That's why I said I mentioned in my video where I was talking about the level 20 flea market change, where I was talking about like people don't put the 2 and 2 together, where it's like what's the videos on YouTube right now that are doing the best early wipe? How to make money. What's the best way to make money? Craft stuff the Chads want and sell it to them. But then you get mad that they kill you with it. Like
I went to do a raid and I just get insta-killed by all these guys running the best stuff.
Everybody's got 995 and M61. Well, you're crafting it and selling it to them. So it's
they all come in and ask me why I have no money.
Yeah.
Why I have no money and why their survival rate is 1% and their KD is 0.0001, but they have 20 million rubles. And why I have 7,000 rubles and my KD, is whatever, and my survival rate's like 50%. It's like because I'm going out and half the time dying to desync, half the time dying to the shit that you sold to them that you profited from and didn't play the game.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like that. Like you just can't have it both ways, and that's why like my idea is to flip it. It's like you can still have access to that, but I don't know. It just you can't have it both ways. Like
I'll have to watch your video. I don't think I saw that. I'm gonna have to watch it. What's it called?
It's I don't know. It's something. We talked about this. It's not clickbait, but it's something about like fixing Tarkov's economy, or like would this fix Tarkov's economy? But
interesting. Yeah, but my solution, at least what I had said to them, and I had, it was one of those things that I had to reiterate like 4 times because I would say it and I'm like, this is the solution. It's genius. And they'd be like, no, this, and this. Like, you don't see 3 steps ahead of these issues that it's going to cause. And I'm like, wait a minute, let me. And it got to the point where like I think I was just annoying people in the conversation, and I just shut up. But what I had said was make it so that when you craft ammo in the hideout, it doesn't get found in raid.
Oh my god, dude. So
that's what I said. So that's all. I'm like, that's the simplest thing, because then that means that they have to use it.
Yeah.
So then when you kill somebody, you're rewarded because then you get to take their shit that they invested in, or have a high like.
Yeah.
Is
Bro,
is the downside to that? Like, I don't understand.
You gotta get me. You gotta get me in these like secret backdoor Illuminati combos, because you and me can 1-2 punch off each other, because we think very similar. Second, my idea is similar. I mean, like, basically my idea comes from the standpoint of like more of like all or nothing. Like, people are like, you know, ammo over 50 pen shouldn't be sellable in the flea market. And I go, that gets too complicated. So my idea is it's very
keep it simple.
Yes, it's very lore explainable. The flea market, wherever this is, it's in an armistice zone. It's for barter goods. It's a flea market. No ammo, no armor, no guns. That's it. Those are the only rules. No ammo, no armor, no guns. Full stop. Full stop. Because like I did a bunch of stuff back the day. I polled my community on YouTube, which is definitely not the whole community, but I got 30,000 votes on the poll, right? And it's like, how many of you, if you're sub level 30, are buying slicks on the flea market? And it was like, none of them. So it's like, people get frustrated. They're like, don't take away my ability to buy a slick on the flea market. Well, it's like, well, you never do. When you find a slick, you sell it for cash. You sell it to a Chad. You sold all your good stuff to that Chad. Now all you have is BT, and your BT can't pen his slick. So if you can't put it on the market and you find it, you're going to be like, hey, let me ball out. I found some 995 the other day. I killed a Chad for an M4. Let me throw it all together, and maybe you die and that'll suck. But maybe you survive 6 raids in a row and you go off and you make a bunch of money, right? So it's like, if it's just no ammo, armor, or guns, then it means finding something is more valuable. It doesn't. People, we talked about it in chat, and people immediately, it's like rip casuals the casuals. And I'm like, no. What I think this does is it pushes it down. You don't use any of the good stuff you find. Everybody's money driven, and then they use the flea market to make money, and then they die because they sold all their good stuff for money, and they're trying to run in and get some more graphics cards and make more money with nothing to protect them. And then the guy that bought other stuff. So I don't know the downside. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's explainable in lore. It's simple. It affects. I think it makes the game more like a video game. I think if you're a Chad, it actually makes the game more of a video game. Right now, it's not very video gamey to just like, oh, I died. You know, you just start typing in slick,
at that
flea,
point,
buy.
It's Call of Duty presets, it's class system,
and a worse than that, because you have to buy each individual thing,
you
right?
You don't even get a preset. You have to go and manually create your class every time.
Every time, dude. So if you're a Chad, now you're actually sitting at your stash making decisions. Okay, I've got a fat stack of M61, but I'm out of 995. So I'm going to start the crafts for the 995. I'm going to use this. I'm out of slicks, but I got some Gen 4s. You know what I mean? Nobody uses Gen 4s anymore. Why? Because slicks are better in every single way, and they're just as expensive on the flea market. So but imagine you find the Chad, he's Gucci'd out, but he only had a Gen 4. You had a gun, you had some BP, bam, bam. Now you get. So I think it actually makes the casual player have a better experience because they're using the gear in the game. And I think the Chad finds it more rewarding to actually and engaging and less boring. Like we talked about, I get Kappa now on board. It's less boring to look at your stash and go, well, what do I have? What do I want to use? What can I use? What should I be crafting? It feels like a video game again.
Yeah, so what it does, ultimately speaking, like I'm visualizing the problem as you have the people down here and then the people up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what all the casuals want, because they want to feel what it's like to be up here. So they want to have it so that like the availability, their ability to be able to have access to things.
Yes.
They want to increase it, right? Which basically means anybody can have everything all the time. And the problem is that they lose 99% of the fights against the person who's the Chad, because the person who's the Chad is better and the gear doesn't actually matter that much.
Yeah.
So if like they're gonna kill you with BT or PS or PP or whatever. They're gonna, no matter what, because they're probably just better than you.
Yeah.
So what they need to do is not bring the bottom up, it's bring the top down, and make it so that like if there's literally 100 rounds of BS ammo in all of Tarkov available, then your chances of running into like the top tier ammo are much less. So the shit that you do have access to is useful.
Yeah.
And then it makes it so that everybody's on the same page, and it's an equalizer, and that when you do find the good shit, it's exciting because it's not the good, and which is why like Kappa, like extend out the thing, and make it so that there's something to work towards, like to where level 6 armor is like an event. It's like 1 in 100 raids, because then even if you die, it's at least like exciting. So like when you get the Kappa at level 71, only a few people might do it, but it'll be that much more exciting than if everybody could get it, it wouldn't be cool. If everybody got it at level 20, it would be fucking lame.
Exactly.
So
I had this idea, like I didn't have any influence, but I wanted to do it so bad. I wanted to get like Warren. I wanted to like pay him like $500 to run a whole night on factory with a stock AK and like PP ammo. You and I both know that his survival rate would go down like 1% because he's a god. And he would lose to the 3-man in Altons.
Yes, but then he would still wreck. That was well coordinated. But still wreck. Yeah, he would kill 2 of them because he would outflank them. But then he'd only have a 50-round drum and he'd be out of the fucking ammo.
Yeah. So it's like I used to want to do that. I was like, I'll pay you to do that all night and then let me use the footage to make a video about it, because exactly like the gear gets way overvalued, and it's because the best people use it, but they aren't the best.
You get one tapped by M61 and you think it's M61, but it's not.
They aren't the best because they use it. They're the best so they can afford it. And so if they can afford it, why not use it? Like I've come across Landmark 3 times. I don't think I've ever seen him. I just die. He outflanks me and I'm dead. And it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If he had M61 or M80, it doesn't matter if he had a Goldnick or a PP. Like, dude's gonna shred me. And so I actually think, like, you're right. People get really freaked out when you talk about restricting access. I mean, the Kappa's, the conversation we just had. People, so all the casuals are saying, no, don't take away my ability to buy ammo. Don't take away my ability to buy guns. Don't take away my ability to buy, like, but I believe that the reality is you don't use the flea market for those things, to purchase those things. You only use it to sell. And what ends up happening is we're bringing the ceiling down. We're not raising the floor up, and we're making the Chads have a harder time of getting access to that stuff. And that makes it, and I actually think that would make it more engaging for Chads. I actually think it would make it feel better. People.
Yeah. Because if someone's new and they're casual, if you like love the game so much that you care, then that means that you're hoping at some point that you can like play it more, right? You don't want to make it so that the end game is so much sooner, because then the moment that you have like a weekend to grind Tarkov, you're at the end game and now there's nowhere to go. And now it's like, now you're the person that all of the new people are like, you're so, you're an elitist and whatever. Yeah. It's like, no, you don't realize that, like, it's the same thing where we're all, the funny trope where you have like all these people who are like super like anti-rich, liberal, whatever, but then they get like rich on Instagram and they have like a bajillion dollars, and it's like, now you want to talk about paying taxes, huh? Like, it's like, seriously, don't set yourself up to have you be punished.
Yes.
You have to think about the whole, the whole system, 100%. The whole ecosystem.
And of course, like, and a lot of people point out, like, of course, if something like that were to happen, it would necessitate a rebalance of like what's available at the traders and what crafts are available. You know what I mean? To make it,
and what the quests ask for. Like, don't make it impossible to do the quests.
Exactly. But I think overall, if we're talking, at the 2-month mark of a wipe and beyond, I believe that gameplay feels better and is more rewarding, and it forces people, when you find cool stuff, to use cool stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I just think that there's a big disconnect between the I just got, on my break at work, I watched 11 videos on the best ways to make money in Tarkov. And then I go home and play and I complain that everybody kills me with M61 and 995. It's like,
and then I just watch streams after dying twice in a row.
It's like, bro, look at what just happened. You watched the videos, you came home, you crafted the stuff, you sold it for cheaper than anybody else was selling it for to make your quick cash. And some dude bought it and killed you with it. Like, come on. So I don't know. So that's like, so going all the way back, I was super happy and sad that I heard the changes that like stuff's unavailable from Flea, because like right now, like I know a lot of people still don't have access to the flea market, so it's not a great, but like right now you can get a Golden Lake and BS for 800 a round, which is cheap compared to what it was towards the end of last wipe. You can get, 7 M61 for 1200, 1300 a round. You can get, it's all there and in unlimited supply.
It's what I said last time, which is I'm sad that because I see that the changes that they're making are good intentioned but short-sighted. Like they still don't see, they still don't understand, and I don't want them to agree with me.
No,
I just want them, like, I don't care about if their opinions are different, but it's the facts that are different.
Yeah,
like, and we have different interpretations of the data, and that's what's annoying, because it's like the way that some interpretations of data when it comes to like economics and science are pretty objective.
Yeah.
How supply increases in demand, changes the price of things and all that stuff. And it's like, I'm perfectly fine with people having different priorities.
For sure.
But if I say 2 + 2 = 4 and you say 2 + 2 = 5, we're having a different conversation.
Bro,
so
I feel like so few people can understand that about people like you and me. It's like the same thing we were talking about with the Kappa thing. It's like, I'm passionate about it, but what I'm passionate about isn't my access being revoked. It's more of like the logic and the understanding. Like if you and Nikita had to sit down and like perfect like translation and everything, and he was like, yeah, our vision for the game has changed and we just kind of want to pump everything out faster. You could be like, oh, okay, like I disagree, but it's your game. Yeah. But for him to be like, this is going to have a long-term effect, and you to be like, it's not at all. You know what I mean?
I want to increase the longevity of my living while he's taking spoonfuls of fucking bleach, and it's like, no, yeah,
yeah, 100%. So I completely agree.
Yeah,
bro. Yeah, I don't know. I watch the video. Let me know what you think. I made that video dude, I get people all the time coming in that watch the video and be like, holy cow, when is that happening? And I don't know anybody. I don't know Nikita. I don't think anything is going to change. I think it's just an idea from a guy, but like, I just like everything that they do around the economy, every change they make makes me think that was a better idea. Not worse.
Every change they
You know what I mean? So I just like, I don't know.
Wait a couple more years and see how fucking crazy you get when you have all these ideas, when you're like, I fucking told you so. And
I'd love, dude. I just want to talk to Nikita off stream. It doesn't even have to be any sort of promo thing. I just want to like ask him questions, and because the thing that I try to filter.
You're too nice though, and you'll see the tiredness in his eyes and the frustration around the questions. That's why, like, I want to talk to Nikita too, and I get a chance to, and it mostly just ends up with me not saying anything, because it's like I know how fucking hard he's trying and how overwhelming it is, and how all of the other people that are the loudest ones and the repetition of the bullshit dumb things, all it does is muddy and cloud his brain and make him tired. Bro, so I get that he doesn't fucking want to hear me.
We need to
do solutions,
bro. We need to get him on the podcast. We need to do it.
Oh yeah, I'll revisit that.
We need to get him on the podcast, bro. I'm like, here's a list of things I'm okay with. You tell me whatever. I'm okay with getting up at 2 a.m. to do it, so we're on his time, and I'm okay with doing it offline, so that there's no chat, and then we just discuss, and then I can edit it into like a 30-minute like podcast episode. He can watch it first. Like, because I can align with like wanting to relieve as much pressure as possible from him. He's up at all hours of the night. He's answered the same questions over and over again, and he's looking at chat, and it's like, when wipe, and he's just like, you know what I mean?
The thing is that when it's off stream, So like when we have the off-stream conversations with him,
yeah,
he's listening to us and he's working. He's typing, talking to people. He's
okay.
and most of the time he's like listening. He's like, okay, yeah, sure. And sometimes he's just like, sorry, what? Like I didn't hear anything you just said. You know.
Well, so, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we do it online.
At least when he's streaming, he's like, you know,
yeah, maybe
attention.
Maybe we do it online. But I'm down to do it, freaking on his time. I'm down to like go over the questions because neither of us want to like berate him about anything. It's just I every time I hear a podcast, I just feel that there are so many very much more relevant questions that never get asked, and the substituted questions are the questions that get asked over and over again. You know what I mean? And it's like, what would an hour with Nikita look like without him having to go? Like even in the Q&A he did you watch that? He did a little Tarkov TV live earlier this week. Like even in the Q&A, it was like
a little bit of it.
He was like VoIP, I already answered that. Oh, I already answered. Like he said that like 100 times, and it was like I feel for him. So like, what would
Did you see the clip I tweeted?
I don't know.
Where he's talking about Scav on Scav violence.
And then the dude killed. Dude, that was the best
he pulls
moment.
He pulls the pin on the flashbang, and the dude kills him. And then Nikita's like, yeah, it's to reduce the amount of Scav on Scav violence. And he looks over and goes, what happened?
We're really happy with what we're seeing, and people are cooperating. Boom.
And the screen's black, and he's like, oh, what happened? And he gets killed by a Scav name. He's like, he says the guy's name, and like, and you just see the guy like, sit back, dude, like he's pissed.
That was
like,
so good.
Now, wait, on that topic though, real quick, and then we should probably wrap up. Factory is a different place now. You go, I still only scav on Factory. When I go there, I spawn in and I see 12 AI all running, and then I see a bunch of other people running, and they all wiggle, and they're like, cool, okay, cool. And
really?
Like, dude, it's literally like, it's actually not, it's fun because it's a change of pace. And there are people that are like, I die instantly, and they don't realize that they're essentially running around pointing their gun at everybody, wondering why they're getting insta-shot. Like, you have to realize how you move and how you peek, and when you like slash the wall or use a comm or like peek and then wiggle, and like body language, like you're probably just not good enough with communicating. So if you're dying 90% of the time to another player scav on Factory, then you probably have shitty like body communication, and you need to work on that. But for me now, it's like there's 27 player scavs, 1 million AI scavs, and there's just not enough loot to go around, and you can't kill anybody, and I don't find a PMC. So if I don't find a key in the one unlooted jacket in the whole place, then it's like, fuck, what do? I literally have a shotgun and a level 3 armor and an empty backpack and some bandages, and everything has been looted. And there's no players, and I can't kill anything. So you're at that point, you're almost hoping that somebody turns against the group,
so you can kill him.
So that you can kill them. I even had a fucking group where it was like, wiggle at a guy, fucking cool. He dropped me one of the big circular tubs, whatever the fuck
air
they
filters.
Are.
Yeah, the
and he dropped me an air filter. I'm like, holy shit, dude. Like the FP100. I'm like, hell yeah, man.
So great.
Whenever I get quest items like cigarette boxes, I instantly am dropping them for other people because I just want to be like a peace offering.
Yeah.
But dude, one of the best tests that things are shifting is in Factory. There was like 7 scavs, and we were all getting along. And then one dude ran in and killed another scav in the room. And then I gunned that guy down. And then 5 other scavs came in, and I was like, I'm cool. Like, we killed the bad guy, and there was no more fighting. Like, the fact that there was a scav insurrection that somebody, because at that point you would assume it's everybody's just turning on everybody because you don't know. But it's like, the guy was motivated to not just come in and blast because it could be it could be the good guy.
Like, conflicts can be resolved. That's crazy.
So that was the coolest sign to me, dude, that like I killed one person, and that 4 separate people at separate times came in and was like, you're cool? Okay, we got the bad guy. It's all good. Dude. And then it was like, and then I looted him, and then we were good. Like,
bro, I played Factory twice on wipe day, insta-died both times, and haven't scavved back there yet. So I need to go back.
It's completely, dude, every day it gets more. Now it's like I walk in, I instantly see somebody, and just wiggle, and it's like, cool, we'll get to it.
Bro,
like,
that's so sick. I've noticed that 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. I've been scavving reserve. I've been scavving interchange, and we have definitely crossed the threshold to we're in a plus 50% of the time. You see a guy, you do a quick wiggle, and you don't even have to look back and check if he's gonna you're good. You know what I mean? I've had people drop me stuff. Nikita talked about in that little Q&A thing that he was super excited that people were trading. You could tell he was just like spitballing ideas, but he was like, I would love to like encourage that, like maybe like a UI element where you could like see what they have or something, or like they could like offer a thing. Like I remember
like Diablo had that old thing where you open up a window.
Yeah. Like, so, I mean,
you could put stuff in and then be like commit offer.
And of course that was like, he was just spitballing, but he was saying he likes that people.
All you need is VoIP, because then you just use words like humans do and say, hey, do you need cigarettes?
I was thinking the same thing, bro. But anyways, I actually think that that's kind of necessary because you're right. I scav into an interchange and everything's looted and all the PMCs are dead and I don't want to kill anything. So like, how sick of a mini game would it be that like scav raids were like 60,
just find other scavs to trade.
60% go into a scav raid and see if the dude scavved with a labs keycard. You need to find and raid one. I got a flash drive, dude. I got a flash drive, and then the other 40% is if we find a PMC, if we find a bad scav, and anything that's left to loot. Like, dude, so I don't know. I definitely see times are changing. Like things are definitely moving in the right direction, and it's so dope. It's so dope.
It would literally be like, the fucking WoW lobbies.
Yeah.
Where I've seen this before. I never played WoW, but like they have the bubble above their head where it's like trading arachnid mesh fucking belt for 18 fucking gold. Like,
dude, when I played RuneScape, I would go mine all the blank runes before you like imprinted the magic on it, and I would just walk up through the town square and like typing that I was selling them, bro. Dude, it would be. So I like it. I still think that like there's still a ways to go. I still think some sort of like visual or audio cue on a flagged scav is important, because like not even necessarily that means you always insta kill them, but like this happened. I met a scav on reserve. We wiggled. We're cool. What is my assumption? He's a good scav. We get into a fight and this is like two separate things. Anyways, it turns out somebody killed him. And then I killed the person that killed him, and I lost rep because he was flagged. So the person that killed him gained rep, and then I killed that guy and lost rep. And I was like, man, if I had known, I wouldn't have necessarily killed him because he was friendly, but I wouldn't have squatted up with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're like, if you want to try to be a good teammate, you're punished for it. I did the same thing where I was defending a dude. He was looting the filing cabinets in the factory, and I'm like, I'm going to defend. Another player scav opens the door, chucks in a flashbang.
Yep.
I run into the corner, and my buddy's like head fucking neck deep in one of the cabinets, and I'm like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna defend you. The guy fucking flashbangs in. I get behind the door because the guy runs in. I shot him in the back of the head, killed him, and was like, hell yeah. I got minus rep.
Yep.
And then the guy looted whatever, and I was like, yo, loot this guy. I just fucking saved your ass and got minus rep. And then he killed me.
And got positive rep.
And then he got positive rep. I'm like, what the, like...
Yep.
You know, and then I actually sent that to Nikita, which as just like a really clear example of, like either make it so that flashbangs also, like they just needs to be a wider definition of like violence. This is it's a really hard problem to solve.
It is a really hard problem to solve.
But if they could add in other mechanisms like the ability to team up, like that's sort of UI
that's
or
what I was
gonna
say. Back when you were saying, like, you had made this suggestion in the past when we talk about VoIP and PMCs linking up, that there should be that handshake where if I walk up to a scav and we wiggle, I go up to him, I hit Y, it says this person greets you. If you greet back, the game sees us as partied together, and then the consequences of actions should happen to the party. If a party member,
figure out.
Yes, and then if a party member gets shot, I can kill that guy and not lose rep, even if it's just neutral rep. Like, that's how it is now. If somebody shoots you but doesn't kill you and you defend yourself, you don't gain or lose rep. It's neutral, even if it was that. But there needs to be a way to form a party, and then the rules apply to the party so that I can defend myself. And then even I was talking to somebody who was like, we should get rid of the lobbies. Like, you should only be able to scav solo, and you have to form your party in raid. And I was like, yo, that would actually be kind of sick. Like, if it supported it, you know what I mean?
Like,
if
they made it so you couldn't select your map, like,
yeah,
then that kind of does that by default.
Would be amazing.
But think about it. That the idea that I had around, I was just spitballing, right, with like the VoIP and communicating with player indicator or whatever. The reason why that, like, you can tell that those types of ideas are indicative of well thought out game design, because you realize 6 months later all of the other cool shit that comes from that design element.
Yes.
Whereas the opposite is, I have this great idea that's very specific and very, I'm not looking at anything else.
Yep.
And bad game design ends up working for one thing and then doesn't work for anything else, which is how Scav Karma like works now. It's like it works 80% of the time, which is 80% more than it worked before 100%. Because there was nothing.
Of course.
So, but it's just the idea of like, it's the same thing when I talked about get rid of found in raid and make it so that wherever items spawn, it flags if it was created by a trader or like all of those, because there's so many cool features that come from good, smart, careful design that you don't even think of until later. Then you realize you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Having a little dot over your head, then that means when 5 scavs all have the same kit, because there's only 7 kits that fucking scavs have.
Yeah.
Half of the time it's the same ugly looking dude with a cigarette and a Taz. At least when they fight, you'll like, if there's a little blue dot or whatever it is, or if you're a bad scav, then like you have like your shirt looks ripped or bloody.
Yeah,
or
there's blood on you somewhere. Yeah.
Something to indicate, because that's all in the absence of the normal things where you're not going to have twins that are enemies in real life.
Yeah.
Fighting situation where it's like, nope, sorry, that's my evil twin brother. Yep. Which one's the real one? I don't know. Oh no. And then, but also you can't communicate with words.
Yeah.
Either. So
But overall, huge step in the right direction. Like it has definitely been fun. Some crazy cool moments have been out because of it. And I've actually gotten really cool loot out of certain instances because of that. Like I killed a player scav that had killed Killa, so I didn't have to kill Killa, but I got all Killa's loot and I got plus rep. So like stuff like that has been happening, and it's definitely been overall a positive experience.
Yep. I'm fucking, I don't know. I just typed in chat because I think, I don't know if he was responding to us, but said, look at these good idea game devs that never game dev'd.
Oh,
irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant. It like this is what we talked about last time. It doesn't matter who says the thing that they're saying. There are plenty of people who are game devs who don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yep.
Because you can develop a game and then not be a good game designer.
Yep.
Just like you can be someone who works on a car and not be a mechanic.
Yep.
Or you can call yourself a mechanic and still be bad at being a mechanic, right?
Yep.
Like, so what you need to do is look at the merit of what people are saying and judge that. Don't say, regardless of 100%. What you're saying, you've never published a game, so you don't know what you're talking about.
100%.
Okay.
Especially since like a lot of the stuff we're talking about has like chat erupting and like, holy cow, that's a good idea. People that are playing the game. Yeah, it's like, that's weird. It's like gatekeeping ideas. Like you're not allowed to think unless you're fully and completely trained on a subject. Like we never claimed to be game devs. And if anything, we are constantly making that clause at the beginning of our statements. Like, look, I don't know how anti-cheat works. Like, look, I don't know how this works. Look, you know what I mean? It's just,
we're not, and see, that's the thing is that like, we're not game designers, but I'd be willing to bet that if you looked at the average amount of education that one has done over the last 6 months about fundamentals of intelligent game design, and like interesting things, I've probably spent more time than any random dev over at Battle State. But I've spent more time than fucking most people on it. But again, that is largely irrelevant because I could have just came up with these ideas off the top of my head, and it doesn't matter where I got them from or if I have a fucking a degree or 20 years of experience, because the things that I say they either stand or fall on their own merits.
Yeah. Yep.
Basically, what you need to do is when someone says something, detach their face and their voice and their reputation and whatever from it and judge it on its own. Now, a lot of people aren't qualified to do that, and that's where you have to sort of say, I don't know, let me look at the experts.
Yeah.
And if someone is like, I'm an expert and I disagree with this person who isn't an expert, okay. Well, then now you have the basis for let's talk about why.
Yeah.
But it should never be you're not an expert, so therefore what you're saying is wrong.
Yes. Anyways, and what's crazy is like we could keep talking forever. There's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff that we didn't, and we'll save this for the next episode, but there's a ton of stuff we didn't go over just based on like other stuff, like other progression changes. There's this, I've highlighted it right now. I don't want to say it because I know chat will know, but like there was a really interesting idea in the comment section of one of my videos that I really want to get your thoughts on. There was a bunch of information in that Q&A that Nikita talked about with Lighthouse, 2 Scav bosses, physicalized trader. There's a lot going on in the Tarky world, so there's a lot to talk about, which is pretty exciting. But
hell yeah,
it's been 2 hours, some solid discussion. Yeah, I don't know, man. Overall, like there's frustrations with the netcode and the audio and the cheaters and stuff like that, but overall, I am really enjoying this wipe. It's been super fun. And super fun breaking down some other ideas. So thank you guys for hanging. Thank you guys for hanging that have been live. This will be live on YouTube. We did it a little late, which ends up working out fine because then it'll be up sooner. It'll be up Monday. So thank you guys for hanging with us. This will be live on YouTube and Spotify and all those platforms early next week. And we will definitely see you on the next one.
Peace. We just trumpet at the same time.
Yeah, it's just like tradition now.
Oh, yeah.